Grant's our student intern turned producer.
Nice, dude. Are you a senior or what?
No, I graduated in May.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, so formerly student.
Nice.
At one point, but no.
Now he's just the third host because Drake is off living life and doing his own thing.
Is he back in Arizona? Is he
still in Arizona? Yeah.
Okay, because he was in Nashville for a while, right?
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
What's up, Psych Ward?
Big Tune. What's going on, dude?
Dude, your setup looks legit behind you. I need to give you some of those.
You know, you got to put on all the effects, make people think you actually know a thing or two.
It's a fake background. It's one of those.
I haven't read any of those books behind me whatsoever.
Virtual background.
Yeah,
it's all about the looks, man. I get it.
All about the looks, right?
Official intro. Travis Perry joins the show. That was more of like a Joe Rogan intro. We're just caught up in the middle of a conversation and I start the show, which I kind of like naturally. But Travis has been on the show before. If I was a good podcast host, I would have gone back and gotten the exact episode where he came on. I don't remember what it was. It would have been before Grant, obviously, because he just introduced himself. I'm guessing somewhere in the early 400s, maybe late 300s. So if you're interested in that, probably more of his backstory will be talked about there, I think. I don't remember what we talked about. I imagine we went over how Travis got to Iowa and all the good things. Today, we're just going to catch up. And I think this guy's a real estate mogul now, from what I can.
Mogul's a strong word.
From what I gather. Well, he's on his way. And I'm very interested in what he's doing now and his dad life and everything that is. So how is life, man? How you doing?
It's good. I was just thinking about it. I don't think I had a kid when I was on this podcast. I've got 3 now. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a while ago.
Okay, so that would be
Travis Perry is going to single-handedly.
I've got a 4-year-old.
Ooh, okay, so you would have been way back then. It would have been like the 200s. I gotta Grant, pull it up. Pull up Travis Perry. Washington.
I don't know. It had to have been a while ago though, unless I'm way off beating rocker here.
Okay, so really update us then. How is what's the difference? I mean, I know somewhat. Number 2 on the way for me, but
yeah, congrats.
Which, by the way, you were like one of the first ones to text me. I was like,
was I?
I was like Travis. I was like, I don't ever expect anything, especially me. Wasn't really a social butterfly.
Episode 91.
Oh shit, we had him on way back.
So it was. Let's see.
When did you guys start?
February 17th, 2020 was when you were last on.
COVID, man.
That was
right before COVID. I was pre-COVID.
I think you started COVID, actually.
I might have.
You kicked it off.
Well, there's rumor of another coronavirus in China, so maybe we're going to kick off another one here.
Hey. Is that finally confirmed? We're saying it's from China now. Is that a thing?
I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was a lab leak confirmed. Like I think all of that is.
It's pretty much like all but confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. Another COVID. Good. Opportunity to improve my immune system.
Well, Jocko action. Love it.
I really do and would start my day with that every day if I could and remembered. I think I should just have it loaded on a tab over on the other side. Do you remember when Doyle first played that for us, Travis?
Oh, incredible! Have you guys read all the books? Have you read all Jocko's books?
I've read 2 of them.
2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Extreme Ownership and what's the other one? Like a manual to.
It's a dichotomy. Is a dichotomy of leadership.
Dichotomy of leadership. Yeah.
Both great books.
First time he played that video, the goosebumps in the room were like, they were tangible. It was like, oh my god.
Oh, it was fully tented.
Yeah. You want to tee up a room of 120 individuals? My god, we could have played a game right then and there.
Dude, those all team meetings. Some of those videos we put up. Incredible. I miss that stuff. I was just talking to my dad the other day about just all the notes I used to have. I don't know where they went. Wish I still had them. But the notebooks we used to fill up with KF and Doyle and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys still have those?
No, man. I kind of wish I did, though.
Yeah. That makes me feel. It makes me feel a little bit better that you guys don't know where yours is at, because I was the asshole who wasn't taking a lot of notes. And I'll be honest.
We were straight back in there. Snap the ball.
Yeah.
To the punter.
I mean,
sometime to the holder.
Yeah, it was that simple. I did not try to overcomplicate things. I find my
playbook though.
I still got the punt playbook. I can pull out the punt playbook right now.
I lost the punt playbook. I picked up the defensive one though.
Oh man, I've never seen that punt playbook for one special team was incredible.
Oh,
It was like 300 pages long.
The defensive one, dude.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Punt team was more important than defense.
Dude, we had 7,000 fakes lined up, never used one.
You guys didn't.
You guys did, obviously, but
that wasn't even a punt fake. No, we did do a couple punt fakes our senior year.
Used one in 16 as well. I'm pretty sure. Against Illinois? Or is that 17?
What I'm remembering from Illinois is when we did the punt return kind of trick play.
So you'll remember I'm referencing Amani Hooker. I short snapped it to him.
Was that 16? I thought that was 17.
I thought it was 16, but it could have been 17. I don't remember. It was right before half. We got a ton of yardage out of it. He almost housed it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was what I was thinking of too.
What was it? Was it just direct snap like a power?
It was just we just had the look where we had the numbers. And we put I don't know if Amani, I'm pretty sure he was not in that up back position all year.
No, he was like the weak guard.
He was part of the core.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't, it was, because Trav, like when we would go into those meetings, the personnel numbers so that if something was funky, you could pretty much identify it. Because you were like Kev, you played all four. And so to see Amani out there, that was the whole thing. It was like, oh, he's on the punt, so nothing's up.
Yeah.
But then the tempo of us breaking the huddle, he just all of a sudden was back, and it was quick. It was like a quick count, very slightly direct snap to him, couple lead blockers up the way, and I think we were one block away from just housing it for like 60 yards right before halftime.
Was Drake normally in that spot? Was he pissed off that he didn't get
He took Drake out?
You are absolutely correct.
They took the offensive guy out to put a defensive guy in there to run an offensive play.
Drake is still pissed about that. I remember when Amani got paid on his big contract off of his rookie deal, and we brought that up maybe on a DHT on the Patreon pod, and Drake was like, "I'm willing to admit that Wallace made a good decision putting Amani in that." In that spot over me. I'm finally willing to admit that 7 years later. It's like, yeah, Drake, we're going to give you the ball versus Amani Hooker.
Did you guys, was it 2013 we played LSU in the Outback Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Were you guys, that was your freshman year? Is that when you came in?
Yep.
So you might not recall this then, but we ran that fake punt. And it was similar, although we were in the punt pro back then, so it was different from that standpoint. But we brought in Mark Weissman to be the PP guy, who was our starting running back at the time. And the fake didn't work out quite so well. Coach White pulled them to run basically the power O out of it. So they're all just pointing at him like, hey, the starting running back's in, the personal protector. And we got absolutely shit stomped on the play.
Yeah. That team had some dudes, man.
Dude, they were good.
But it just goes to show like it takes. You gotta be a lot more subtle when you're running fakes, right? You throw the starting running back in on a special team that is not normally on.
Yeah, pretty obvious.
Alarm bells go off.
On 4th and 2.
Yeah, the guy you almost want to put in on those if you're gonna run something is like grab the most trusted athletic freshman you have that's like only played a little bit of special teams, and you're just like give the all around athlete in the newest freshman class the ball and just just trust them. Because the other team is not going to get tipped off by that kid being in the game.
Right.
They're just going to think like, oh, they've got a 2 or a 3 in there. Like somebody's hurt or, we've never seen this guy before. He doesn't play any other positions on offense. So like, he's not going to hurt us. And then like, if it was Cooper DeJean freshman year, they would have been like, oh, that's tough for us. I don't know who that would have been in our class, Kev. I guess maybe Desmond started. I don't know. That's who I would put at that position.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure how we got off topic on that, but so 0 kids last time you were on to 3 kids now.
3 kids, yeah. Got a 4-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and a almost 1-year-old, which is crazy.
So life is probably pretty much the same as it was before.
Nothing different. Just a little bit more expensive.
Tell me about it. What's your day-to-day look like right now?
Oof. I've got a full-time job, so I can't really complain because my wife stays home with the 3 kids and runs our real estate side of the business while I go work a day job. So can't really complain. I only get like 2 or 3 hours with them before they go to bed. So that kind of sucks, but
how close is the dream to not work the day job? Because it kills me that you still do so I listened to you and your wife go on a podcast with is like a real estate or like money focused podcast. I'm not sure what it was. And not that I know exactly the financial backing of things. Obviously you have to be able to pay your bills and all that, but it sounds like you guys are on your way to like, if you continue to own properties, and we're going to get into all of it here, cause I'm curious, very curious, that you could eventually not have where do you work? Green State?
yeah. Yep.
And what do you do there? You're just a pretty face or?
So yeah, you could say that. No, currently I'm the VP of commercial operations. So like any commercial real estate deal, I manage the back end of it. So like loan docs, servicing, life loan, all that stuff is my team, escrow, taxes, insurance, all that stuff. But most recently I'm actually transitioning to a new role here in the next 2 weeks, about 3 weeks. So I'll be VP of private banking. It's a new role. Basically, I'll be working with the high net worth clients and just kind of helping them achieve their financial goals. So new division, I'll be a new challenge, but it's exciting. It'll be different.
This guy's got vice
The
president.
33-year-old VP, man. Let me tell you what Travis Perry
Hey,
knows.
32. Don't age me. Don't age me. I'm 32.
Tell you what, this fucking guy right here, he knows how to get
feel
his
a lot
pads
older.
down. I tell you what, vice president of elite banking individuals.
You know, he's a 4-phase special teams guy. He can be a 4-phase finance guy too.
Banking guy too.
Yeah,
Give him
Commercial ops.
I'm on phase
Real
3.
estate.
I did the retail and then the commercial and now private banking. So I'm on phase 3 of 4.
So rich people are just going to come to you or Green State, and then they funnel to you, and you're like, yeah,
Then
I'll
you go launder their money for them.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't built the program yet, so I'll get back to you. Maybe episode number 3 I'm on, I can go over that, but it's in the works. Yeah. I'll be working with a lot of like wealth management clients, and I'll still be working with commercial clients as well, treasury management, that sort of stuff.
Is that the current role you're about to transition out of? Is that where you got into real estate, or it sounded like on the podcast I listened to, you and your wife actually had like these ideas of owning and getting into real estate, like kind of in college?
Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, no, it wasn't what got me into real estate. I would say it kind of helped propel the real estate portfolio that we have from the standpoint of like, you get to kind of learn the ins and outs of how people build their wealth, you know, at a more local level type of thing, and kind of the behind the scenes stuff. All of our stuff since I started at Green State on the commercial side, though, all of it's out of state. So I haven't actually done a deal in state since I started at Green State. The stuff in Iowa was done pre-Green State. And we can get into that too. But yeah, senior year of college, we were actually coming back from Northwestern, which I believe was our seventh or eighth game. So we were well on our way to the 12-0, number 7. Big win, right? 40 to 10. Is that right?
40 to 10,
Yeah.
smoked them.
Huge
Yeah.
win. But it's
They were good that year too.
Yeah, and we were down a lot of people. I mean, our offense especially was down a lot of guys. I think
I think we're down to like 4th and 5th string running backs. Akram and D Mitch had to basically carry the load. Yeah.
And they went off that game too.
They did. Yeah, we had like 4 rushing touchdowns or something. It's crazy. A lot of special teams action in that game too. But yeah, we were driving back, which is one of 3 places we drive to, I think. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Northwestern,
there, Wisconsin,
Ohio State.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So had a little bit more time on our hands driving back, right? Because usually it's a 40-minute flight. You grab something to eat and shoot the shit with your boys and you're home. Was driving back, and I was in an entrepreneurial class where you had to study. You had to study somebody successful and like basically write a paper on it. There weren't much more guidelines besides that, but I had read a 40 under 40 article of the state of Iowa, and so I thought, what the hell? I'll reach out to some of these guys and gals and see if they'll let me pick their brain a little bit. And I ended up shooting like 15 of them an email, and 6 or 7 got back to me. And so right after the season ended, it was kind of one of those things like, hey, this is who I am. Can you help me write this paper? And then we can meet later on down the road type of thing. Chat GPT wasn't a thing back in 2015. So you actually had to do a little bit of work.
I would have chat GPT'd the shit out of college, by the way. I mean, it would have been unbelievable the amounts of less work I was already doing Guy, that's just a side
You
tangent.
would be
Yeah.
both. If you know how to use that thing and all the AI stuff, it's next level for sure. But anyways, yeah, like 6 or 7 got back to me, and I met with them after the season and just said, "Hey, look, my career's come to an end. I'm not doing the NFL route. I really don't know what I want to do. Can you act as my mentor and allow me to pick your brain and stuff?" Which, looking back now that I've been in the industry 10 years, I probably sounded like an absolute idiot when I was reaching out to these people that were extremely busy, being like, "Hey, can I grab you a cup of coffee and waste your time for a half hour?" But they did. And it was interesting because they were from like all different industries, right? You had people in the medical industry, you had CEOs, CFOs, entrepreneurs, attorneys I met with, like it was all over the place. And all 6 or 7 of them that I met with, they all own some type of real estate.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, I've heard of it. My parents owned a apartment building by Drake University growing up. It was just a single family house that had multiple levels they rented, but held it for like 40 years and didn't really think much of it, but they held it that long. It must have done well, right? And so after hearing these 6 or 7 individuals talk about real estate, that is really what drove me down the rabbit hole and started getting into the books. And so yeah, when I met my fiance, my girlfriend turned fiance at the time, we decided the first place we buy, we want to buy it with the intentions to turn it into a rental.
Mm.
And that is how we got our start. So we bought our first place in 2017. 2017 was our first rental.
Oh God, Kevin and I were still playing. So
Travis
adult.
Perry's Wealth Building Management 101. Buy a house before the pandemic.
Seriously, I wish I would have bought more.
Or during, wasn't it during 2020 that like everybody was?
Oh,
everybody refinanced, I'm sure.
Yeah, 30-year mortgage at 2.25%. It was insane. I'll never see that again.
Yeah, I bought a house this past summer, and I basically wanted to throw myself off a building running the numbers on the difference between a 2.5% rate versus a 6.5% rate. And if I talk about it enough, I could put my head through the computer screen right now. Was that part of is your wife's name Reagan?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you meet Reagan, like, and I don't know how long you guys had known each other, but like first date, you're like, hey, here's the deal. If we're going to make this thing work, we're buying fucking properties. Okay.
Not on the first date. It may have been the second or third, but it was early on. I'm like, hey, first place we buy, this thing works out, which it did, fortunately. But
that's you guys pillow talk right there. It's just like, oh, you want to go buy some rental property?
It's gonna be a property we're gonna live in for like 6 months, and then it's gonna be a rental. So it might not be the nicest property we buy.
That's the Perry's love language. They're like, oh, babe, I found this 2-story. I found a 4-plex. It's gonna be amazing.
No, usually, honestly, it's me saying there's an awesome like 1950 house that we can flip and make a lot of money, and she's like, yeah, if it wasn't built before or after 2020, I'm not interested. So usually there's a little back and forth on what we actually buy.
So God, you're so smart. That's anybody young, if there's college kids listening to this, do what Travis did. Reach out to people, make connections. It's all about who you know, right? Figuring that out later in life now. Don't do what I did. I played a lot of Fortnite, watched a lot of Game of Thrones. Okay. There's just a lot of.
You don't regret a minute of it though, do you?
Not for the sake of the enjoyment there, but like sure as hell do wish that I was a little smarter or like used my time. Like Travis is reaching out to these guys. It's funny you say that, like you probably sounded stupid to them because like what are they supposed to expect, right? Like imagine one of the guys on the team reached out to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, hey, can I pick your brain over a cup of coffee? You wouldn't think twice about that. You'd be like, yeah, he's just trying to figure it out. Like you were a senior and everybody maybe you were going through that moment or maybe you were less worried about, but some guys are like very concerned about what their life looks like in several months when their career is over. Like, I got to figure some shit out. I got to know what I'm doing here.
Well, and to be fair to you, Tyler and Kevin and myself, like there really wasn't much guidance back when we played. Maybe the last 2 years for you guys there was, but like
it got a little bit better.
Okay.
I want to say, was your senior year 2015 the first year we did those networking events? One networking event?
Yeah, we did one networking event because I remember like the Nike guy came in and there were a few former players and stuff. But yeah, that was the first time. That was my senior year they did it.
Yeah. So they kind of leaned into that a little bit more our last couple of years, but yeah, I think they're doing a lot better job of it now.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin's talked about his.
I mean, that's basically how I got into my career too, is through those networking events. It's like, all right, half the dudes that they just brought back said they do medical sales. I gotta figure out what the hell this is. It seems like something that an Iowa football player can do decently well at.
Yeah. Yeah, no podcasters at that event.
No, there were no podcasters. That
have they asked you back? Have they asked you guys back to do the event?
No, God, no.
They're not bringing my ass back in that building. Not a chance. Fucking.
You probably one of the breakouts that would get a lot of guys to go check out.
Unfortunately, sadly, with the way that everyone wants to be like an influencer, like a creator, I probably would have.
You'd have half the damn team.
They'd all come to Tyler Kluber. The coaches would be like, if you guys fucking knew about this guy, oh, Kluver's on the list? Holy shit, what does he even do? Does he have a job? Oh, son of a bitch. This guy he tried to be on kickoff team in 2016. Told him to sit on the fucking sideline. I did get asked actually to talk to I don't know if I ever told you this, Kevin. I was brought back to talk to one of the department, the education departments. I did a talk. I did a Zoom call.
University?
Yeah.
Unrelated to athletics?
Yes. I was brought back as a successful personal trainer / entrepreneur to talk to one of the health and human physiology classes.
You're shitting me.
Back in 2022, I think. It was.
No, you never told me this. Was it one of our teachers that we had?
I did not know the person who brought me back. It was me and her essentially did it was like this. She just kind of interviewed me. And then
was it in front of the class or
and the class was in the the class was all in the waiting room, kind of or a viewing room. I don't remember what software we did it on, but they were watching live and I couldn't see any of them, but it was just me and the professor and
they were just asking about being a personal trainer and stuff.
Yep. And then I think from that she used me as it was a industry professional to mentor one of the kids on their final project of that programming project we did, Kev.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh my God.
I remember that one, yeah.
I was like, my goodness, if these kids knew how much I didn't care about school and how not serious I am as just an individual at all. But yeah, they would certainly not bring me back. And you, Travis, would be somebody they brought back. I would love to listen to you talk. Not so much me. Kevin too. I'm surprised Kevin hasn't been asked back as one of the reps.
Nah.
Why not?
For the football team, yeah. I was a communications major. I don't think they're going to bring me back to talk about talking.
No, I'm talking about the football team, not the. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't. Communications. It's a lot of guys have that communications major.
I mean, did you guys how many times did you guys get called by Scott Southmaid to go in there and talk to the walk-ons they were trying to bring on? Were you guys always on the player?
You talking about when they're doing recruiting visits?
Yeah. It was every other day. It's we got some walk-ons here, Travis. Gonna need you on the player panel. I'm like, can you be on a scholarship player panel every now and again?
See,
that's the only walk-ons.
You two were asked to do those things. I was not. I was not asked to ever be. I remember that. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm still salty. I was never once.
Yeah, player panels.
Dude, it felt like it was those once a week. It probably wasn't.
Yeah, it during this time period too. It was I guess it'd be different now because the recruiting schedules all changed. But it was always the parents asking the most questions, though.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
It is a good it is a really good thing that some universities do that because you get more truthful answers out of it.
I think so. Yeah, I love I can't remember who was on the player panel when did we do a player panel when we were on our official, Kev?
It was. I remember Coop was on it.
Was Marshall Kane on it?
I don't remember. I just remember Coop because he was being
Darian Cooper.
Darian Cooper, yeah, because he was being as funny as hell.
Yeah,
some parents ask about hey, do they help you with your bills and budget? He's like, nah, you gotta be a grown man about that stuff. It's like, if you don't pay your water bill, they turn off your water.
I remember that. Oh my God.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Cool.
His character.
Unbelievable. one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Travis, was this randomly came to my mind was you were there for the season right before when we came in, which was very, very different than any of the seasons we experienced during our 5 years, 13 through 17.
Mhm.
Our worst year was that 2014 season. We got smacked by Tennessee. Like, it was a bad season, but like relatively
7-6, but we had high expectations for the year.
Yeah, it was more of like you guys underperformed.
And
to
yeah, I
what
think we were 6-1 to open the year, and then just
we
apart.
fell apart in the second half in the bowl game. But like relatively above 500, made a bowl game. Like that's better than a lot of teams do. Specifically the 2012 team, 4-8, and we heard stories about like the training after that season, and like talk to me about that team. Like what happened that year? What was going on that year?
Not only were we 4-8, like I should look this up, but I'm pretty sure that was the year early on we beat a ranked Michigan State team at Michigan State in overtime in 2012. I think that was one of our 4 wins.
I do remember. It was like kind of cold and rainy.
Yeah,
right?
because I'll never forget it wasn't
that was KF's 100th win, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a big win for him.
It wasn't goal line, but they had the ball on like the 12 or 15 or 12. So it was red zone going in. And this was back when they had Le'Veon Bell. And Kirksey's helmet.
You are correct, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I thought because Greg Castillo picked it off to win the game in overtime, I'm pretty sure. But they had Le'Veon Bell and Kirksey's helmet went off. And so I was standing on this. I mean, I played a couple special teams early in the year. By the end of the year, I was on 4. But early in the year, I was on 2 of them. So, you run 40 yards once every, 30, 40 minutes. And it was rainy and cold that day. And they had Le'Veon Bell. Kirksey's helmet pops up. So they're like, Perry, you're in. So I'm like running out there, throwing my helmet on. I'm the Leo linebacker. Power O.
Right at you.
I'm going in. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to blow this up. Guy cut blocks me. And I don't know. I can't remember looking back on film if it was a true cut or if the guy tripped or what. But I legit did a full flip. 360, feet are in the air. He bounces it out, so I technically did my job.
If you get it from going downhill,
I got inside the fullback, right? It was the guard that got me, so I took out 2. He bounced it. It was like a 1-yard gain or something. A successful play, but dude, that hurt so bad. I had a bruise on my thigh for 5 weeks.
Was that your first defensive snap?
It was not my first defensive snap, but it was probably one of my, maybe my 8th snap of the year on defense. It was one of the first snaps. It wasn't the first, but yeah, dude, that was Le'Veon Bell was a freak.
Double overtime.
We won that game.
Yeah, double overtime game.
That was Wiseman's breakout game, wasn't it? Where he kind of
it wasn't his breakout game, but it was his start of his breakout season.
Okay.
So it looks like, so you guys opened that year, and I remember this specifically because you guys were at
Soldier Field
against
barely won.
And just 18-17 over Northern Illinois. Lost.
Which was a good Northern Illinois team. I think that was their only regular season loss that year.
Well, they had that stud quarterback that was like Tim Tebow too. I can't think of his name. Lynch. Yeah. Guy was a stud.
Yeah, they played Florida State in the Orange Bowl that year, I think.
Yeah, they were good.
They're a good team.
Lost to Iowa State, beat UNI, lost to Central Michigan.
Yeah. I think I had some tackles. That might have been my first career tackle.
And then to open up the Big Ten season, I mean, beat Minnesota, beat Michigan State. And then it was just tough from there. It was tough.
Well, and you talk about, that season can be defined really in the Central Michigan game because we lost that game, right? You said we lost that game.
32-31.
So we had them stopped to win the game. And one of our defensive players, I won't name names, but one of our defensive players, senior guy, right, gets a personal foul. 4th and 15 or whatever, gets a personal foul, automatic first down. They get an 8-yard play the next play and kick the game-winning field goal. And it was one of those, after the play, helmet slaps, what are you doing? type of
like
thing.
after the play. So like game
Mhm.
was over. You won. Take a
Yep.
knee and you won.
Yep.
Oh no!
Automatic first down. I mean, it was like an incomplete pass type of thing, and then he, handed it to
You are now describing this, and I can fucking remember listening to that on the radio.
dude. It was
Holy smokes, that just brought back a memory from 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. You just triggered a memory. I know
It
where I
was-
was listening to it.
after that game. That was back when
I can't imagine Phil's response.
Yeah, Phil was not the most intense person back then. It was Coach K, who was the defensive line coach.
Oh sure,
You
yeah.
guys didn't get
heard stories
experience
about
that,
him.
dude.
Yeah,
He was Phil Parker on steroids. Like that guy was nuts. And yeah, it wasn't pretty after that game, as you can imagine, or that entire week in film. But that was kind of like you talk about the 2012 season. I mean, that play pretty much sums it up. It was just shit like that over and over and over again. And that team had a lot of talent.
Yeah.
We had some dudes on that team, but we didn't have.
is that like Marvin McNutt's senior year?
Mm-hmm.
And Micah.
Yep, we had Micah Hyde, Marvin McNutt, Keenan Davis was on the team. He was on the team another year. I think he was, or no, maybe that was a senior.
I mean,
he
shit,
didn't
you
win the
had
crossover
you had
thing.
you had Kirksey, James, and Hitch, all as juniors. Like
Yeah.
leader
We had
veteran.
Devontae Martin Manley, who's like one of the all-time leading receivers. Like we had some dudes, and you had a couple really good leaders, but and this kind of sums up the 2015 team too. It was like we had some really great leaders on the 2015 team, but one of the big differences is we had leaders across the board. We didn't have like your 4 captain leaders who were pretty good leaders, but then everybody else just did their own thing. Like we had leaders in every position group in 2015. And that makes such a difference when you can hold each position accountable. That 2012 team, you just saw kind of everyone going their own way. And it started becoming a me versus a we type of thing. And, I'm going to do what I'm going to do so that I can look good on draft day, which always blew my mind because you guys know better than anybody. Like you're going to get way better looks if you're on a good team.
Yeah.
That don't matter if you're on a 4-18 or 4 and whatever team, right? So, yeah, man, that season was brutal. And again, it all came down to leadership and there was very little accountability within that group, very little. Because I would argue we had just as much talent, if not more than 2015. Like there were some dudes on that team.
Oh, I think it's pretty standard.
We had 1 draft pick after the 2015.
Yeah. Blythe was in the 7th round. I think it's pretty accepted that our 2015 team, KF's going into year 26 or 7 here. 2015 talent wise is probably middle of the pack. I would say
above average. Like
Maybe.
there's some guys there that
Underclassmen
went on to have good years, right?
Yeah.
Like that was CJ's first year, right? But CJ's a damn good quarterback.
Sure.
Drew Ott would have been a NFL draft pick if he hadn't had the
True.
He got so screwed.
But we didn't have him for 2/3 of the year. I mean,
Yeah, he was out pretty early. Was it Wisconsin? It was like the 5th game, right?
5th game against Illinois.
Yeah. So he got hurt versus State, where he hurt his elbow. Then he came back,
Played
Wisconsin, and then halftime at Illinois.
From what I understand, he was basically put together with duct tape for 3 weeks, and then
he was pretty wounded before he actually got out.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have been playing before he actually tore his ACL.
Yeah, no.
But no, they're like, you had Desmond who had a career year that year. Like there was talent on that team. It was just we didn't know how much talent we had yet.
Yeah.
Like
I like
Ike's first year starting, and Ike again, if he didn't have the injury bug, would have been a draft pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
30 still in the NFL.
I like the way you described that. We've always talked about the leadership, but the way you broke it down is I've never really thought about that way. Every position room did really have, like we had Marshall in the specialist room. We had Drew in the D-line room. We had you in the linebacker room. We had and Cole, and we had
Lomax. We had
Low. Man, it really was across the board.
Yeah, and that was probably one of the only years where it was like every single position group you looked at, you're like, damn, they have a good leader or a couple good leaders, right? But you shouldn't get that every year. You got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 good leaders, but sometimes they're all in the same position group.
Yeah, True.
I'm just curious, going back to that 2012 year, what thank God we never experienced it. But what's it like? Like, hey, you lost your 7th game of the year, and you still got to go out there a few more weeks. Like, what was the locker room environment like?
Yeah, we never felt that. That is crazy.
Hey, guys, like mailed it in. Like, the coaches are still trying to get guys motivated and stuff. But like, what's the locker room like? Like,
it very much felt like the seniors were checked out.
Mm.
And the underclassmen were fighting for a spot for next year.
Sure.
Which that piece of it, not so bad, right? Because, there was some pretty tough competition. The coaches made it known too. Kind of like, was it bowl prep or not bowl prep? Well, yeah, I guess it was bowl prep going into 14, where it was like, it was bowl prep, but you really felt like it was.
Are we preparing for this bowl game here?
Like, we're not prepared for Tennessee. We're prepared for.
No, our legs were dead for Tennessee.
It's quite literally camp for 2015. It felt like.
Yeah, but it was kind of like that. Even practices, like it wasn't, towards the end of the year where you're doing 1 day of pads, and even then it's a very light day. It was like 3 to 4 days, full pads, full go, a lot of Devo, and Devo was primarily the second team. It wasn't like, the third or fourth team you get, during the regular season or normal year. And so it felt like the seniors kind of mailed it in, and everybody else, the coaches were coaching to the underclassmen. Whether or not that was is a true statement, I don't know. That's just kind of from my perspective how I felt it went. And so it was a weird feeling. And then obviously after the season, you didn't have a bowl game, and so it was like the season ends on a Saturday, and then that Monday you're training, and it sucked.
Prowlers.
It was well, for one, we worked out 6 days a week after that season. That
until like finals, they had to let you go, right? Because there's no bowl, you don't get to.
Yeah, we got a little time off, but it wasn't much. It wasn't much. And you hit it, and it was like we were doing like 80 sets of 85, 88% squats, like right out the gate. I mean, I'll never forget.
No GPP. We're just going right on into
dude. It was guys we would joke about it because guys couldn't make it up to their rooms. Like if you lived in a 2-story house, guys were sleeping on the couch because you literally couldn't go upstairs. It was. I've never been through anything like a 2012 offseason, but it forged me, and it made the rest of my. I don't want to say easy, but everything's about perspective, right? And you go through the rest of your career and you're like, it'll never, I don't care what workout they throw, I will never feel like I did after the 2012 season because it was terrible.
I know. I just know, like, Doyle was programming that up. He's like, this ain't about getting better. This ain't about getting stronger. This is about building some mental toughness and finding out who wants to be here in 2013.
Yeah. Dude, it was so bad. And that was back when we were in the bubble. And the weight room was upstairs, right? And they had those revolving doors. And so you'd get done and they'd be just screaming at you like, get to the weight room. Why are you guys walking around? So that door's spinning. I bet probably 5 guys got stitches that year because they got their arm or something caught in that door because it was just flying to get up to the weight room. And you're getting yelled at.
That's incredible.
It was. Yeah, that I still get nightmares about the off season after 2012. It was terrible. But then
what's the message? Like, you have your first team meeting in January, the new team, right? The 2013 team, everyone except for the freshmen that would be coming in that year. What's that like? Like, hey guys, we just had a rough year, but hey, new guys, new year, new team. Like, what's
from the coach's standpoint, it was buckle up because that shit ain't happening again. So you better get ready for what's about to happen with these workouts and practices and doing shit right. And it was kind of zero tolerance. Like you go through the program, and when you're a young guy, you get a little bit of leeway if something comes up, right? And I don't want to say you have like a 3-strike policy, but you get a little bit of leeway, a little bit. It was not
like 1 strike and you're like, okay, I got my eye on you. 2 strikes, like, okay, are you gonna be a list guy? And 3 is like, okay, like.
Oh, it was like if you get caught at the bars after hours, you're off the team type of like strict.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a 5th-year senior, you're out. And that was the message, like that you're gonna do things the right way. Fortunately, you had a bunch of juniors who were sick of losing, like James Morris, right? And so it was really player-led, and it kind of like 2015 too. Like you guys know, you've been a part of great teams. The best teams are always player-led. You have internal leaders, the accountability, it comes from the players. if coaches are having to do that, you're going to have a shitty season.
You're fucked, right?
Yeah, you're done. I mean, it's got to, and that's business and life too, right? It's got to come from the people doing the work. If the bosses have to come down and say it, you're probably not going to be a successful team. And James Morris was kind of the spearhead of that, took the lead and got the troops going. And it really wasn't an issue other than, not being able to walk upstairs after workouts or anything. But
James was the general for sure. It seemed when we came in. Speaking of business, real quick interruption in the conversation. I don't know if you can see Travis. We talked about it before we hit the record button. We're pretty official around here. Presented by Iowa Egg Council. You see that?
That's bottom right corner. It's big time.
First, if you're watching the YouTube, give us a like for the partnership with the egg people. Come on now. This is a dream partnership. You know how many eggs I eat every day? This is the most authentic motherfucking partnership we've ever done. Kevin eats eggs. I eat eggs. Travis, do you eat eggs?
Every day.
Seriously?
No.
You don't have to
A
lie.
couple times a week.
I'm an
everyday type of guy.
Me and Kevin are legitimately every day. 5 scrambled every morning.
Damn, good for you guys.
We're keeping the Egg Council in business. We are partnered with the Egg Council in the next couple months. Shout out to them. Healthy source of protein. Hey Grant, you eat eggs?
All the time, every day.
God damn right. People got tricked in the 80s that fat was bad for you. Like dietary fat, cholesterol, all this stuff. Wrong. Trump gif. Wrong. Dietary fat and dietary cholesterol specifically, very little to do with your actual cholesterol levels. Very important for brain health. Choline, eggs enriched with choline. These eggs are good for you. Put eggs on your plate. Egg Council. We're going to be talking about them as we go on here. This August, you're going to have a chance to go out and maybe do like a little activation with the Walk-Ons and the Egg Council at the Iowa State Fair. Egg on a stick. Get yourself some fucking eggs. That's all I'm saying. All right.
How do you even do egg on a stick without destroying
Grant.
Like you crack
Never underestimate the Iowa State Fair.
Don't question the honest stick.
And then
it's hard boiled.
It's hard boiled. Oh, okay. I was like, that just seems like a.
Don't question the methods of on a stick at the Iowa State Fair. They find a way. Iowa Egg Council partnership with the Walk-Ons for the next couple of months. Shout out to them sponsoring the show. Back to it. It was we heard a lot of stories about 2012, and we're just happy that that's the team that we committed to, and I was stoked about it. I never even really thought about it. We came in and we won 8 the next year, and I was like, hey, this is what we do around here.
I was gonna say from that. Okay, so asking you guys a question from that side of things, like you're committed at that point in time, right? You're coming in to be a Hawkeye football player, and you see we go 4-8. What's the feeling?
Thought I had the biggest dick on earth, dude. I was coming
from walking around Marshalltown feeling real good.
Dude, Marshalltown couldn't get rid of me quick enough. They're like, this kid is gonna long snap maybe, and he's paying his way to do it at Iowa, and he thinks he's so sick. But that is exactly how I felt. You guys could have lost 12 games, and I would have been like, don't care. Division I football player, baby. That's where I was coming from, because I had I had 2 offers. They were Eastern Michigan and Wyoming. I wasn't going there. I was stoked. I was so excited. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even cross my mind. Kev, I don't know if it crossed your mind. I did not.
I mean, I committed after the season, so
nice.
I don't know about you, Cliff. Travis, you were my host. I wasn't committed. I wasn't committed when I came in.
Hey, big wrestling. Are you guys watching the wrestling meet?
Oh no, I've
been following a little bit right now.
Because that's what we did on your visit, right? We went to
Penn State, who was ranked number 1 right
Dude,
then.
that atmosphere was awesome.
And we beat them. Who got the big pin? Was it Sorensen?
Sounds right.
It's a long time ago.
And Carver Hawkeye went nuts. And I'm like, this place
awesome
fucking rules. And that was like, I think I want to be a Big Ten athlete. This seems pretty cool.
Yeah. I committed to a 2-1 team that year. I committed after week 3. You guys, actually, it would have been 1-1. You guys beat UNI, but I committed before that game. I told Coach Erb before that game. I was like, the week before when Iowa State came, they were basically finally were like, yeah, I mean, we got a spot if you want to come on, you're going to walk. You'll be they probably gave me the preferred walk-on tag, some bullshit. No one even knows what that means. And the minute they said that, I was like, oh my God, my foot's in the door. I did it. Like that was the dream for 2 years, basically. And the next week I came back and told Coach Herb before the game, they're like, they give you the high V breakfast over at the facility. And you're like, I was like, dude, I'm going to be a Hawkeye. I'm going to be a Hawkeye. I'm in. And they were like, yeah, we suckered this kid in. Hell yeah. Got him. Don't give a shit because he's a snapper, but we got him.
Well, Kluv, I mean, not to sell yourself short, but what would have happened if they didn't get you?
Dude.
They would have had to, someone would have had to learn long snapping on the team.
Wouldn't have been good.
So the following year in 13, Casey obviously was still a senior.
Right.
So they had time to get somebody else that would have had to have come in and done it right away, which it's not totally uncommon. Dom Alvis snapped a fair amount and stayed on top of it.
Dom Alvis, striker legend.
I was gonna say Dom's a stud.
And have we had him on the show?
I don't think we have.
Dude, you got to get him on. He would be good content. He'd be able to talk a lot about Coach K too.
Definitely need to get Dom Alvis on the show. That's a name that just popped in my brain just because of this conversation. I haven't thought about him in years. He used to do it. And then like Ray Hamilton messed around with it. Like there were several tight ends / DNs on the team that would play around with it, because I think for that first year they were kind of like, okay, we got this kid. He's like supposed to be good. He's ranked, but
he
like,
likes Rubik's cubes. I don't know about this guy.
Fucking kid is weird. So hopefully he works out. But if he doesn't, we need somebody else on the team. I mean, they were trying to get other guys to do the job all the way. When we had Reed Silby on the podcast, we talked about how Doyle tried to make him the guy.
Because he didn't want Kluver to be the guy.
Nobody wanted me to be the guy for a long time. So.
that story lines up.
Yeah, I mean it's true. And actually, Travis, I want to thank you. I want to give you a post hoc 12 years later thank you, because when I was the annoying freshman who was just like probably opened his mouth. Not probably. I opened my mouth way too much. I was loud, way overconfident, and quite frankly, was very weird, which is just who I am. I was the kid with the Rubik's cubes. I don't know if you remember this. We went to the bowl trip down against LSU, and when we were practicing and like doing our daily activities that week, I had a GoPro, and I was like on the bus. I sat right next to you.
Like you just brought a GoPro. I
brought a GoPro and like a selfie tripod, and I was trying to like vlog our week down in. And so this all makes so much sense now that like this is what I do 12 years later. But back then I was like trying to be Logan Paul vlogging our fucking bowl game experience, right? And the only guy on the team that embraced it even a little bit and like just said, fuck it, I'm going to have fun with this and actually like participate was Travis Perry. And you probably don't remember it, but
did you ever edit a video and put it up anywhere?
I still have footage on my.
You should definitely go back into that footage.
Dude, that is hilarious. You say that because I do not remember that at all. And when you started talking about that, the only thing I could think of is, oh my God, the coaches must not have seen that.
Nobody ever saw any of it because I was like, literally, I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought it was cool to like.
No, I think Travis is asking is like. Coach Jordan never just saw you walking around.
That's what I mean. Like that was my first thought of like, okay. Oh shit, you probably hid that well because if they saw you,
they would
yes,
not.
Yes, I did not.
You went on the first flight back.
I wasn't trying to like videotape the entire locker room and like team meetings and all this shit. But like when we were on the bus on the way to the practice facility, like maybe a couple times at the resort, like when coaches weren't around, it was like kind of low key stuff, but. Yeah, I wouldn't have been caught dead. I remember fucking speaking of Ray Hamilton, he gave me so much shit my entire freshman year for just being the biggest nerd weirdo. And I was like, dude, Ray really hates me. Like this guy hates me. It was like borderline bullying at times. And I was like, I probably deserve it. This is tough. And I remember him like giving me shit about the the GoPro, and Travis was the only one. Travis,
That's funny.
a couple of the days was like, dude, where's the video camera? Let's get this on tape. Like, I know you don't remember it, but it made it made a big difference in my life back in 2013.
I'm glad to hear that because I do not recall.
Fuck. It was. I don't want to shift total conversation back to the real estate thing, Kev, but I do have questions. I don't want to keep Travis all night. So if you Grant, if you have any other questions about Travis's playing time, shoot now.
I kind of want to hear about the real estate stuff. I'm being honest.
Okay.
That was what I was curious about.
So here's the thing. The reason I'm so interested in this is because in 2020, actually, funny enough, was when I got let go from the gym I was working at. I was working at like a 30-hour a week job doing like group classes at this gym local in Waukee. And we had this, the whole story is like, I had a family vacation with my in-laws planned like 2 weeks later. And so I basically gave myself the 2 weeks to be like, all right, we'll just figure it out after we come back from vacation. Long story short, in that 2 weeks, I got like antsy, started doing programming for clients, and the podcast also sort of, fortunately, like also kind of took off in COVID a little bit. So it financially, things started to work out. I didn't have to go back or try and find a job. I just started working for myself. We're still above water 5 years later. So it all worked out, at least to this point. But back then you start thinking like, what am I going to do to make money? How am I going to get rich? And I'm like, real estate, baby. I'm going to somehow get into real estate. And like, I still have journals of me like journaling during COVID. My daily goals was like to watch real estate videos and research all this stuff. And then when I heard you did it, and I of course never acted on any of those dreams, at least in the last 5 years, I was like, motherfucker, Travis is doing it. He's doing it. He's going to be rich. He's going to have 400 apartment buildings, cash flow out the ass. This guy has the answers. I need to have him on the show. So like, was that the whole goal the whole time? Or you're just like, I'm just kind of interested in it, and this is where we want to go with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was, yes, it was a goal of mine early on. But I've kind of shifted because I don't have any multifamily. I mean, we've got some duplexes and stuff, but we don't have any like true multifamily buildings. We've kind of gone the short-term rental route, which is a story in itself. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to be financially free. And it's not that I wouldn't want to work, because I do really love where I work. I love the people I get to work with, the job I have. And so I don't ever really envision leaving that job. Doesn't
really,
but yeah, no, I really enjoy what I do.
Wow.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, how can I continue to do what I do, but grow the portfolio, the real estate portfolio on the side? Step one was Reagan she was a elementary education teacher. So step one was she became a stay-at-home mom and took on a lot of the operations side of our business.
Cool.
So she does all the property management, all the setup, all the communication with the cleaners, the guests, the handyman, the contractors. I really only step in if it's like, hey, this person's being an asshole or something. Can you take it type of thing?
Your security, property security.
I mean, that, and like, obviously figuring out the financing piece, right? Like, how are we going to acquire this building and running the numbers and making sure it cash flows and everything works out. I do that side of it, but no, she pretty much runs the business. And so we've had conversations of like, okay, if it gets to the point where it's too much, what's our next step? Are we going to hire people? Are we going to hire property management companies? Are we going to outsource it? Like, what does that look like? We're not quite there yet, but we're getting pretty close. And so that's
you stepping away from your full-time and taking over is not like the first option there. Nope. Wow, dude, it's respect to you, man. Still working a full-time with all that under your weight. Cause I would be like, this is, for me personally, that would be the goal. I would be like, I'm going to work for myself. I get to, control my own hours, be at home with the kids more. Like, that would be the first thing. So your job must be elite. You must actually like the people you work with and the things you do at your full-time. Cause I feel like a lot of people would be like, yeah, the number one goal is get me out of this place. Like, I don't want to be.
So my goal has always been to make more money, money than I do in my day job. Right. So if I ever wanted to leave, I have that option.
Sure.
So you're not stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you ask me today, if I'm going to be working at Green State in 5 years, the answer would be yes. That doesn't mean it couldn't change, but it's not one of those things where it's like, all right, if I acquire 2 more properties and the cash flow is X, then it gets us to Z, and now I'm able to quit my job.
Yeah. It's not part of the.
I will say it started that way right?
Okay.
When we were kind of like developing the game plan of like, okay, this is the long-term play. We're going to be full-time real estate, whether it's developers or investors that, we didn't know at the time, but that's what we want to do full-time. But I mean, my job, I work in real estate for a job too.
Right. Yeah.
So it crosses over a little bit. Now, our business side of things, we don't do anything in the state of Iowa just because I don't want any conflict of interest being out there, right? We do everything outside of Iowa. And that's allowed us to grow and learn a lot more too, because you got to learn different rules and regulations and townships and cities. And I mean, it's different, but it grows your knowledge.
Conflict of interest in what way?
Just like if I ever got to the point where I wanted to partner with people,
Okay.
or like, do like syndication type deals, right? Where you pool funds together to be able to go buy big complexes. Cause that's early on. And it's still kind of a pipe dream of mine is to run a real estate syndication firm where, we get a group of, let's say us four, say we want to go buy a apartment.
Yes, definitely include me. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you want to go buy an apartment complex. You have your general partners, you have your limited partners, you pool funds together, and you have one or two people that know how to make the money, how to make it work, right? And you go buy bigger buildings that are going to cash flow at a higher volume. It's just like anything, money's king, right? If you can go in with an all cash offer or 50% down offer, you're going to beat the guy trying to get it at 80% loan to value every day.
Talk to me, Travis.
But no, I've had a lot of conversations lately with like past teammates and current and former NFL guys that are interested in real estate. And so there's been some small talks around that, but that might be a long-term thing. We'll see.
Well, so your properties right now are Airbnb basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just,
yeah.
So you are a mogul. You're just running a fucking Airbnb operation, just killing people. This is amazing. I literally might. We're gonna put a course together, and you're just gonna sell the course. That's it's gonna be the Travis Perry Mastermind. You guys manage Josie's property?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's in Alexandria. It's a beautiful house, as you guys can imagine.
Can you cancel on some people a few weekends in the summer so that the boys can just?
So we can do a boys trip.
Let me ask you this: does Josie listen to this podcast? It might change my answer.
He does, but he's also told us that we could do that. So,
no, dude, it would be an awesome time to get a group of guys there.
Just go ahead and cancel some people. Just choose some unlucky soul one random weekend in the summer, and we're just gonna happen to show up there. And
are they booked out that far? How far out do you people book?
Yeah, June, July, and August. There's not much room left. Yeah, it books pretty far out.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually 6 months or so is usually what you're looking at.
Are they all sort of in vacation spots like that?
Yes and no. So some of our Michigan properties are, I wouldn't call it a vacation spot. Now it is close to Lake Michigan. So from that standpoint, but you get all the Chicago traffic. Okay. And so like the name of the game for short-term rental in my mind is you got to be within 2 hours of a major city, and it's got to be different than what the city offers. Okay. So from where we're at, you can drive an hour and a half and you're on Lake Michigan, you're at cute little beach towns, and you're out of the big city low traffic. It's just different. And big city has lots of money. People are willing to pay an arm and a leg to stay at a property for 2 nights that they can drive to, get away for a weekend and get right back to work in Chicago on that Monday. So,
Kevin, that sounds like Lake Pawpaw.
Eagle Lake in Pawpaw, Michigan.
Oh, whatever.
Close enough. But yes, it was 2 hours away from our home in the suburbs of Chicago. And that was, exactly. You got away from the city for a little bit.
You guys had a house up there or?
Yeah. We had a cabin on a lake up in Southwest Michigan. Yeah.
Nice. It's beautiful up there.
It's exactly what you said. It's 2 hours away. It's easy to drive to. And it's completely different than you feel like, you're completely different area.
How many places do you guys have right now?
So we own 9. And then we've got some units that we got about 12 units that we arbitrage out, but we don't actually own those units. And then, we've got some property. We do some property management. That's more Reagan, just with some close friends. And then she's got a short-term rental consulting business that she runs and operates now too, which that's pretty recent as of the last 6 months.
Wow.
What's a typical break even on you got to rent? I assume most of your rentals are weekends, long weekends or something like that. Hey, we got to rent out 40 out of the 52 weekends or 30 out of the 52 weekends to break even, or I guess summer weekends is probably easier to book out and
Yeah, it's really
probably
per
more.
market, I would say, Kev, because like our Michigan properties, the goal is June, July, and August. You break even for the entire year.
Yeah,
Wow.
sure.
And then everything else is just money in the bank. And to your point, usually you're Thursday to Sunday, Friday to Sunday weekends in the off season. But June, July, and August, you're booking up like 28, 29 days out of 30, 31.
Yeah, sure.
And again, it's like make as much money as you can those 3 months, gets you throughout the rest of the year, and then the rest is just cherry on top.
Yeah,
In
and
the
then you're also
groove.
just adding equity to each property every single year too. So
Yep.
that's why, I've always known that rental property is like the just single most probably best wealth generator. I've just never been able to jump in. And it's like it's
Yeah.
a headache, man. I mean, is it worth it? Like to me, it's just so much easier. Just like you know what, just put it in the stock market and just forget about it. And I don't have to worry about tenants. I don't have to worry about cleaner property managers or anything like that.
But see, that's why if we get into syndication deal, you don't got to worry about any of that.
All right. Well,
That's
well,
I'm a company. If we all just got to put some money in and then we'll take off.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I think Anthony Garrett. Have you guys had Anthony Garrett on the podcast?
I've tried to get him on. He said he would come on, then it fell through. But he's done. He started
he's in real estate now.
I was gonna say he does some syndicate. I think he does some syndication stuff down in Texas based on some of his posts.
Why don't we just get a group of?
Why do they call it a syndication? Syndicate makes it sound like it's like a
crime syndicate.
Yeah. Depends on where you're at.
Hey.
No, that's just the name of pooling the funds together, essentially.
I'm in crime. I'm in for big crime with former football players. Seriously, we should just get a group of former Iowa football guys and just be like, just take over the world with our money.
Awesome.
And we'll use Josie's money because everybody can go look at his public contract. He has a lot of it. I hope he's going to listen to the show.
He absolutely hates every time we mention
sorry, Joes. Nah, I'm not sorry. You're gonna text me "fuck you" and I don't care. It does same as Kev though. I'm like, man, it just seems like you're taking out a loan to go get now you got 9 places, or you got 9 loans. You got to figure out all this shit. I mean, Reagan's running this thing on the back end. You got how many fucking spreadsheets you got to put up? I mean, it sounds like a hassle, but you're like, man, if you could just figure it out. It seems like guys are just loaded with. Every big time, like, oh yeah, that guy's got $1 billion. What's he do? He just owns a lot of places. You're like, motherfucker. Like, I drive around as an adult at 30 and I just see buildings or houses or whatever, and I'm just or land, and I'm just like, somebody has to own that. Somebody owns it.
It's I will say, like, your first deal is by far the hardest.
Yeah.
Even if you have more money going into your first deal than you do going into your second deal, like once you get your feet wet with the first one, it becomes significantly easier just because you can read all you want and listen to all the podcasts you want. But until you actually do it, there's just, there's so many things you're going to learn getting into the day-to-day of operating a rental, especially on the short-term rental side, because it's way more labor intensive than your long-term deals. But we talk to clients all the time, and even through my job, we talk to people. It's like, it's scary, right? Because you buy a $500,000 house, and it's like you have a $3,500 mortgage payment. It's like, well, shit, if I don't get somebody to rent this, I am screwed because I can't afford this. Plus my current, the house we live in. Obviously, you never go into something without reserves, so you need to have backup cash. But if you run the numbers accurately, like, it takes so much of that risk out of it. And then obviously you need to have the proper insurance in place so you can sleep at night if something were to happen, right? But if you run the numbers and you know what you're doing from a finance side of things, it's, you read the books, it's just commas and zeros, and that's easier said than done. But if you can run the numbers accurately, it really is. It's just a math game.
I'm in. Find me a property. I'll give you the money. Kevin and I will fork up the cash. I imagine it does help to have people who know what they're doing too, have done it before, and you're like, oh, okay, this is, yeah. All right, well, Kev, you want to buy a place?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Okay. Well, the Benton boys have talked about it before. All of us, Drake, we've all talked.
You throw in You guys are. I'm sure you're an LLC, right? Washed Up Walk-Ons LLC.
We are.
Hey,
Yeah.
just
No,
put it
not
in
anymore,
LLC.
aren't we? We're an S corp, aren't we?
For tax classification, yeah, we are an escort.
Just put a property in, back it with the Washed Up Walk-Ons, and you can grow it from there. It's all a tax write-off.
Okay.
All these
much
tax
money can you
write-offs,
write off?
I'm sure that the government just doesn't want you to pay them. They're just like, hey, there's all these ways to write it off. Just
Yeah.
don't pay them. All right, don't pay them.
Well,
I have to do my job.
going to the short-term rental side of things, like I won't get into the nitty-gritty of the tax side, but that's really one of the main reasons we shifted, because there's so much more tax advantages on the short-term rental side if you're working a full-time job like I was and Reagan was when we first started. There's so many more tax advantages going the short-term rental route than the long-term rental route if you're working a W-2 job. So that's really what kind of made us go that route.
So 10 years from now, Travis Perry owns how many places? What is the goal to just every time it makes sense again, you just grab another? Yeah,
we're kind of at that point. I think in the next couple of years, we'll probably start looking at doing multifamily and get a little bit out of the short-term rental game. We're kind of getting to the point where those tax advantages I was talking about is not as advantageous for us.
Sure.
The properties we're at and the amount we're cash flowing now. And so now we're kind of shifting our focus to, let's save more and more to buy bigger properties, or again, go in with partners so you can pool funds together and maybe get a little bit more pie.
I'll talk to my money guy. Which is Kevin, actually. Kevin's my money guy. Talk to him. These out-of-state properties, so you're taking a bunch of trips to view these places, or are you buying sight unseen?
We bought a couple sight unseen. Yeah.
Really?
The property, we just bought a property about 40 minutes west of Colorado Springs. Just basically Colorado Springs, drive 45 minutes west in the mountains and you're at the property. That one was sight unseen, which was a little scary. But we did go there right after we closed to set it up. We bought it furnished. But we went there to see.
You just had the real estate agent FaceTime you around the house, or?
Yeah, real estate agent, met the builder, got to know some people in the area. There's a lot you can find out through Facebook. A lot of communities have their own Facebook group. A lot of neighbors are on there, so you can kind of become friends with them and get a lot of info. But
that's what it helps to have a wife, right? They're basically FBI agents when it comes to the internet and Facebook and social media.
100%. But yeah, the sight unseen stuff's scary. That was a newer build. It was built in 2022, I believe. So as far as
that helps,
being worried about inspection results coming back, or a leaky roof, the fucking roof will probably cave in now that I just said that. But,
you're gonna get a text. You're gonna get a text that one of your properties is on fire after this.
It's not gonna be good.
Have you sold any of the properties that you've bought since or?
Yeah, so actually our first out-of-state deal was in Michigan, and it was kind of a fixer-upper. Actually, it wasn't kind of. It was a fixer-upper. We went and saw that and walked it. It was a beautiful neighborhood. You're a quarter mile to Lake Michigan. There's a private beach in the association, but the house itself was pretty damn creepy. So it had different colored carpet in every single room. I'm talking purple, pink, red, and had panel everywhere, and the panel was different color. It was a weird house.
It was just kind of a ragtag thing.
Just
whatever we got, yeah.
But it was a 5-bedroom, 2-bath, and quarter mile to Lake Michigan. You started looking at comps, and this thing was sitting on the market forever, and we ended up buying it for $250,000. We put a decent amount of money into it, updating it, right? But it was little things like carpet LVP, tearing out the carpet, painting it, that sort of stuff. It wasn't like we were adding rooms or bathrooms or any of that.
Sure.
Threw in a game room. We rented that out for about a year and a half, and it did really well. But it was built in 1950, and it was one of those things where it's there's bad stuff that's going to start happening. We just know it, right? The roof needed
mold or termites or something.
Just something. And so we ended up selling it to buy another house in the neighborhood that was a little bit closer to the lake, and it was built in 1998 or something. And we did a 1031 tax exchange. And so with the funds we made on selling, we sold it for I think we ended up selling it for we bought it for $250. We ended up selling it for like $520 fully furnished, I think was what it was. And so that's what really propelled us, because we took those funds and we bought another place in Michigan and we bought a place in Utah. And that's kind of what really got the wheels spinning with the short-term rental game.
Nice.
But 1031 is another great example of kind of shielding yourself from paying a bunch of taxes.
And that's just where you roll any profit you made into a new property. You don't pay any taxes on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's things you need to get
right.
to qualify, but yeah.
I'm quitting the walk-on. Sorry, everybody. I'm going into real estate.
Yeah, all right, we had a good run.
We're fucking out. We're not even going to make 600. Sorry, Grant. We'll see you later.
I mean, you're putting the property in washed up walk-ons. You got to keep the pod going.
It's a lot to think about. Travis, we appreciate your time, man.
Dude, it's always good catching up with you guys.
Gonna have to have you back on again.
Syndicate.
The
Watch the walk-on syndicate.
There's gonna be a walk-on syndicate in like 5 years. We're gonna own.
I mean, I honestly, that's a T-shirt right there. The walk-on syndicate.
Hey,
make it happen.
Hey, new merch drop coming soon. So check that out. By the way, Travis is super official, but so are we. Look at this. You can go to the walk-on store, get that QR code right there in the corner. Get yourself some merch. Anybody who's a part of the Patreon, we're going to be dropping a spring line here soon. Save the walk-ons. KF316 shirt. That's football on the back.
That's awesome.
Can't wait. Thank you everybody for listening. If you're interested in Travis more, TravisPerry.com. Travis Perry is a realestatemogul.com probably. Is the website, and yeah, that's all I got. Anything else, boys? Nothing left?
Always
there we go.
Travis.
Catch up with Big Tune.
Yeah,
all right.
nice to meet you, Grant. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll leave it there. Everybody have a great week or rest of your weekend whenever this comes out. Talk to you next time. Peace.